Hey, this is our 2019 monthly recap for Blended Threats Gaming. Let's get into the new games for the month. Marooners, what'd you think, Adele?
I thought I liked it, and it's a very good game for all of your family to get together and just play together. It's a nice and calming one, so you can just have fun.
I don't know if I'd say it's calming, but it is
Yeah.
really accessible. It's really easy to play. It was real fun. Shadow Brawlers. This has been an interesting, actually, not just the game, but the actual interactions with Shadow Brawlers. So we found Shadow Brawlers. We picked it up. I'm constantly looking for new multiplayer games for us to play with. We played it, posted up. We think it's a really fun. We really liked the artwork. Rachel really liked the artwork on it, so she posted some fan art around it. And we got some really cool feedback from the developers.
We did, yeah. We talked with them. They liked my fan art, and they invited us to the Discord and stuff like that. So it was really neat to have that kind of level of interaction with the developer.
Yes, I totally need to go on Discord and actually talk to them. But like, it's been really cool on their Twitter. They've been talking like, "Hey, we're like," they've been appreciative towards us posting stuff. But we're also like, hugely, we're a small YouTube channel, and they're posting our stuff up on their end as well. It's been kind of a back and forth of both of us kind of appreciating each other. Not only that, so outside of that, we didn't have any interaction with the developers before we played the game. This wasn't something to like they gave it to us and we played it. But it was just that we liked it enough and we treated it as if a game that we really liked. And it was a really cool interaction. So outside of that interaction, the actual game itself, go check it out. It is a fun game. It works well. It's smooth and it's being developed. So I only see it getting better. There's an entire thing that I did within the tutorial. The tutorial is basically like a little platformer game in its own right. That thing could be fully developed into its own single-player version of the game. It was well enough played, and it had little challenges and stuff like that. So, Shadow Brawlers, it was a good addition for the month. And
Super fun.
Yeah.
another good addition for the month
Is Gravity. So Gravity, the minute we tried it, we knew this was going to be one of our favorite games because it's got so much to it. The controls are really smooth. It's got that familiar twin stick to it. So anyone that's familiar with twin stick can easily pick it up and it's just a whole lot of fun. You get to blow each other up as robots. I mean, what's not to like?
Yeah.
Yeah, and this isn't like a top-down twin stick. This is a side twin stick. So your left joystick is controlling like your movement, and your right one's controlling your directionality of the shooting. But it's not a top-down; it's from the side. You'll have to see it. It'll make sense the moment you see it, and then like the right triggers to shoot. So it is a complete twin stick, but it's not a twin stick in like, say, like Crimson Land or anything like that, to where you're getting that top-down 360 kind of movement. Which does make it actually interesting because it makes different kind of gameplay.
Yeah.
It's something familiar but new at the same time. And there are some other games that use that sort of thing, but I don't know if we have another one that uses it that way.
I don't think so. It's almost like a twin stick platformer.
Yeah,
in some ways.
exactly. Twin stick platformer. And Rachel and Adele have been having a lot of fun with that, but Adele's been getting some new skins each time.
Yeah. Tell them we got.
We got a unicorn. It has a colorful horn, so go check that out now.
Yeah, but you got the cat, you got the chef, you get like there's a whole bunch of different ones that have come out that have been really cool. It's got a lot of features. The only thing that's bad about that game is not enough people are playing it. There just needs to be more people on that game.
For sure.
Yeah.
We played Neon Chrome this month, 10-ton games. We just like 10-ton games. Neon Chrome's very different than the other ones that we played. They're not quite... it's not like in Crimson Land or in like Tesla Star this much, which we'll talk about here in a second. It's not like those ones to where you're going through like a story and a progression. It's like that's like a rinse and repeat game, and we're going to be posting that up more and more under bonus content. But it is interesting, and it is 10 tons, and we love the way their twin sticks feel.
Yeah, it's almost like a roguelike. It's like a roguelike twin stick.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, kind of. But it is one of those rinse and repeat games to where you go through so far, and then when you die, you can come up and power things up to become a little bit stronger so you can get a little bit further the next time. But the whole thing with this game is that you're not going to be playing through like a linear story. You're going to be playing through the same thing, but it's not the same thing. It does dynamically generate different things inside of it.
Right.
But
Sorry.
It was a lot of fun.
It was. And one of the things I like is the ambiance to it because it's all, it's neon, it's 80s music. I mean, it's just awesome.
It's cyberpunk.
Like, it's cyberpunk. It's amazing. Yeah. It's very fun.
So that was an interesting game that we started for this month. Another one that was pretty big for this month is Outward.
Yep. So Artward is very interesting. It's got a lot of RPG-like elements. I like the story to it. The art is really cool. I mean, it's very realistic. It reminds me of like a Elder Scrolls kind of thing. It's unique in a lot of different ways. So the magic system is very unique to any other game that I've seen that has a magic system in it. It's just like any RPG, it's a lot of inventory management and stat management kind of thing. You can get diseases, and if you drink the water without boiling it first, you'll get indigestion and stuff like that. So it's interesting the ways that they've having you manage your character rather than just the pretty typical keep your health bar above 0. There's a lot of dangers.
Yeah,
in the world.
This isn't just like fight, get to the next thing, RPG, this is a person that lives in a world trying to do what they need to in this world based off the circumstances that they're in.
Yep.
And fighting is not a majority. It's not even like the biggest part of the story. There's a lot of just decision making that comes into this. This is a like RPG / world living sort
survival
of thing.
almost.
It almost feels like it's in the realm of an MMO, in the idea that the way that it plays, like it could be developed into a full MMO sort of thing, but it doesn't. It would be interesting to see it down that route, but it doesn't have that idea of like needing, like you're completing tasks for people, but it's in this higher level story that's going on. So it's been an interesting new addition that we've had. The only thing I got to say about this game is I cannot get used to the combat from this. It's been compared over and over again to Dark Souls combat, and there's a very distinct difference between this and Dark Souls in how the combat interacts at the moment when you're attacking and stuff. And that little difference is making a pretty big difference for me. So it's been really fun until I need to fight something, and then I'm kind of going, I don't like the way the combat feels in it.
Yeah, and especially with other RPGs and MMOs where the combat is so smooth and it's like such an integral part of the game. It's quite a big downfall, I think, for that one.
Yep. So we'll keep playing through it more and more, and we're going to try to see where we go with it. But right now, it's one of those things that I think it'll be fine once I figure out the combat. As in, I figure out like, this is what I'm doing wrong, but I still need to get there. All right, Flat Heroes.
That I like it because you're little squares and you have to run around these different platforms and try to get through the puzzles.
Yeah, so we've been playing that. It's a great couch co-op game. It's one of those things to where minimalistic done right. There's not a lot of graphics, there's not a lot to it, but they made it nice and stylish. And that nice stylish feel has made it to where it's a lot of fun. It's got the challenging sort of death and repeat aspects of stuff. And it's just a really well-developed game, and one of those ways to where it's kind of a like not too many things wrong with it. The only thing I got to say is get rid of bullet time, please.
And that's just across the board. That's not just for Flat Heroes. That's across the board.
Any game that has that bullet time aspect where like somebody dies and the time slows for just a minute and it picks it back up, that's such a bad feature for a game. And in this one, it's like sometimes when you hit a boss, it goes into that bullet time and then it'll pick back up, and then all of a sudden you're going, oh, crap, and it like decelerates you just enough so that you're like dropping like a rock all of a sudden. So sometimes it's beneficial, but most of the time it seems detrimental. And I understand why they're doing it, because it has that sense of ambiance of the fight that you're in. But it is something that's like my only complaint. And don't take this as if it's a bad game. It's a great game, but that is like my only complaint towards the game, which is good because the whole game as a whole is great. Hyper Jam. So it was something that I tried to hunt out something that was in this kind of style. I wanted something new that I can play as bonus content that was like a twin stick that I can go online and play. I was looking for like almost like a battle royale twin stick that I could go online, jump in, make some bonus content with, and drop off in the same way that I do with like Paladins or Smite or something like that. And I found this one looking for that. And this is interesting. So it's a twin stick competitive. We do have one video of it out right now in this month. This is the first one for this month, and we will have more. And I think it's actually really well developed.
Yeah, it's really, the controls are really good. It has an interesting array of weapons, fall damage in a twin stick is interesting. So you have to actually really pay attention to where you're standing and how you're moving more than in most other fighters.
Yeah, the game, you have to watch the edge of the maps, because if you're fighting, you might accidentally back off the edge of the map, or even one of them. There's train tracks to where if you go on the train track, the train immediately comes and you fall, or you get hit by the train. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting aspects with that, but there's also like you can punch. So when you get close to people, you're gonna have to punch, and then there's like katanas, and there's a hammer that you can hit people with, or you can get rocket launchers that you have to aim and shoot, or a bow. So it was a interesting feel. I think it's got a really good feel for a twin stick, and the really, like, one of the only things I've got as a problem with it right now is that when I try to go to the online right now, I'm just sitting in queue. I think I'd play it a lot more if actually more people were playing it on there. All right, so Meow Motors, what do you think, Adele?
I love it because I love animals, first of all, and your little cats. That's just the best thing.
Well, what about the game?
You're in cars, and I like driving around in cars.
Okay. Do you think it felt good to play?
Yeah, it felt smooth, I think.
I think it's a very forgiving Mario Kart kind of feel.
Mm-hmm.
So it is definitely designed around the idea of somebody that's going to play a game, and you're not going to be overly competitive with it, because it is going to be forgiving, and if someone gets out in front, they're going to be able to stay out in front pretty easily. You're not going to, like, even in Mario Kart, when you hit something, there's a big penalty. They're going to take some coins. You're going to get full. And this one lets you go at it a little bit more.
Yeah, which is nice.
Well, yeah, it's got a nice friendly feel to it, so you're not going to be as hardcore in it. But it controls well. It has interesting abilities inside of it. You get a shark on your head.
Yeah.
And it looks well enough, and like overall, like, the game's pretty smooth. We didn't have any performance issues with it or anything like that.
Yeah, I thought it was very fun.
Yeah, it was
love
really
animals.
yes, you do. Robovirus. This one's an interesting one. So this is another one of those cases to where I'm just always looking at what came out recently for Twin Stick, or not for Twin Stick, for multiplayer. And I just saw this one come out. It looked interesting enough. It was on sale, so I went ahead and picked it up. And this is one of those games that right now it's in early access, alpha kind of stage, and it's an indie developer that's making it, and it has a lot of potential. It feels really good to play right now, but there are some kind of like things that can be improved. And the developer actually inside the video came in and said, "Hey, thanks for the feedback. It's really cool to see people playing it. We're going to take what you said and we're going to be doing some updates with it."
Yep.
So they said that we're playing on 4.2.3, I think it was, because we're going to look for
0.4.3, I think.
Yes. Sorry, 0.4.2.3 or something like that. And we're going to watch for 0.4. I do know that 0.4 is the last one to come out, and then once that comes out, we're going to try to get more posted on that. But it's definitely, it feels good to play. It doesn't feel clunky. It's interesting. And I can see where this can really turn into a really good game. So I'm kind of looking forward to the updates on that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like the changeable map, too. It had a neat grid-based map where it moved the pieces around.
Yeah, the 3x3 map. Yeah.
It was actually a cool idea. I haven't seen that very much.
Of all the maps, like, some of the other ones were interesting. They had the lasers and stuff like that. But that 3x3 did actually give something that's like, hey, this is kind of unique and a good way to, a good reason to play this game. Too many weapons. I think for all of us, we all had fun with this one.
Yeah. So your little hot dog man is what we call him.
Yeah.
And you throw stuff at each other. Everything is a weapon. Nothing is not a weapon.
Yeah, so when you're moving around the map, you spawn into like a classroom or a gym or something like that, and everything around you, if you just bump into it, you pick it up. And then in a twin stick style kind of movement, you throw the thing.
Yeah, and you try to throw it at the other hot dog.
Yeah, and if you hit the other people, then they get taken out, and it's got a pretty simplistic. There's not much really to it, but it's just straight, like, it's simple and fun.
It's ridiculous, yeah.
When you kill them, you can pick them up and throw them at the other people, and that'll actually kill the other person.
Yeah. So if you hit them with one of the items, then you can use them as a weapon too. So literally, like, the everything in the map is a projectile that you could use. So it's it's kind of like what Rachel was saying. It's ridiculous in one of those really fun kind of ways, and it makes it really attractive to play. Degrees of Separation. This is one that Rachel and I started playing. this is a really fun puzzler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it really requires a lot of cooperation. I like the elements of heat and cold and using those to solve puzzles. I don't think I've ever seen that in another game.
Yeah, and it's one of those things to where even if other games had the heat and cold, it's not like each person has that attribute. So it's like one person can work off both of them. You have to work together, and because only one person can. So there's Ember and Rhyme, and Rhyme is the frost guy, and Ember is the fire girl. And based off of that, you have to set your environment based off of what is needed for the puzzle. So it's really about a factor of movement, and you need to just place yourself in the correct places. So it's a really simple concept, but it does lend itself to something that's interesting puzzles, and it looks great.
It really does. And I think one of the other things that I like about it too is the persistent story. Like, it seems like every 2 or 3 minutes or 5 minutes, there's another voice acted cutscene, like not cutscene, but some
Narrated.
type of text. Yeah, some type of text that's narrated that tells you more about the story. And it's really interesting.
Yeah, and it's an interesting story in its own right too. It's not just like something that's pasted on. It's actually like it feels like it's well developed. The other thing about this game is I'm really impressed about the atmospheric aspects of this, to where you have Rhyme and Ember, and the whole map, 50% of it, well, some percentage of it, is always split between these two worlds. And when you move, it's constantly calculating where these is at. From I'm a developer, and from a developer perspective, I'm really impressed about how they keep the environments capable of doing this. This is something I have not seen at all in a game in the past.
Right, yeah.
This capability to like dynamically change environments off of a line so that it actually controls where everything's at. That's such a cool idea and something that feels new.
And not only that, but to add to that, just the amazing graphics. So not only are they doing that interesting transition, but they've already got just these stunning graphics that are making the game absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, and it's I wouldn't say it's like the highest end graphics, but it's one of the things to where me personally, I don't want the graphics to look necessarily like as trying to get as realistic as possible. I want things to look fun and beautiful, and that's what they did in this game. It's not like everything's sitting at like the highest pixel density and everything, like the highest polygon count or something like that. It just looks great. So yeah, Degrees of Separation, that series started this month. That's going great. And another one that Rachel and I started this month is Tesla versus Lovecraft.
Yeah, so much fun. This was a great follow-on from Crimson Land, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. This is another 10-ton game, and we found that 10-ton is just a company that we like their stuff. And Tesla v Lovecraft. It's atmospherically, that game is just really, really cool because it's Tesla and Lovecraft. Like,
right?
Like, there's no way you could like whoever was like, I know we'll do Tesla and Lovecraft. I just want to go like be like, thank you, good job.
Yeah,
that was
you did good.
Yeah, that was a very good choice. So it is a twin stick. You're playing as Tesla. There's kind of a pasted on story a little bit to where like Lovecraft is coming into Tesla's world. As Tesla, you need to take out the monsters from Lovecraftian lore, and it's fun. It's just a fun game.
It is.
And you're just going through the stages, you're beating the monsters, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun. Now, on the other side of that, we played a game called Save Their Souls, where you play as firemen trying to, it's essentially a memory game. And the core concept of the game isn't bad, but Adele and I, we had some issues, didn't we?
Yeah, we had some issues, because we were trying to walk up the stairs and go to the other side. And we would just keep going down the stairs. Let's go back up the stairs. Let's go back down the stairs.
Yeah. We'd get stuck on the stairs.
Yeah.
So bypassing the stairs in this, it wasn't like for something, such a weird thing to say. It's like we're trying to memorize stuff, so we need to get to floors. But as I'm sitting there repeating, like, it's room numbers like 205, 306, and something like that. And those are the ones that the people are in that we need to save. And if we open the wrong door, we get burnt. So I'm sitting there going 205, 306, 205, 306, and I'm trying to go back and forth past these stairs, and it's like, stop going up the stupid stairs. I need to go to the right. I couldn't get past the stairs. And we were both having issues with that. So like it's a decent little idea for a memory game, but we had some issues with it.
Yeah.
One Finger Death Punch 2. So the new One Finger Death Punch came out. I think it was this month. Maybe it was last month. But it did just come out, and it's One Finger Death Punch 2. And I never played the first one, but I tried out the second one, and I thought it was pretty fun.
Yeah. It's hilarious because you're this little stick guy, ninja, and yet, like, you're just pushing 2 buttons. But the animations around it, like, throwing roundhouse kicks, throwing, like, samurai swords and stuff. It's hilarious. It's so much fun, whether you're playing it or watching it.
Yeah, it's a beat game when it comes down to it. It's just a beat game, and it's got a really cool overlay on top of a beat game. It's not just like you traveling as a kind of what's that phrase for, like, traveling through the multicolored thing, like pushing the button as you need to. So they put an overlay on it that's kind of fun. And I never played the first one, but if it's anything like the second one, I think I missed out on something I would really like. And it's just 2 buttons, and you can play it on the mouse or on the controller with the shoulders or the X and B. And yeah, it's a fun thing to play. I would highly suggest, just as a, like, kind of real quick sit down, able to play quickly, and if you just want to be able to drop in and play something. So yeah, it's One Finger Death Punch 2. Real fun game that we started out this month. One of the Sunday games I tried out was Airscape. Airscape was interesting. I think it was a decent idea, but man, it made me nauseous. And it made me so nauseous that I know Rachel cannot handle that sort of stuff well, to where when it gets, like, all spinny and stuff like that. So I intentionally the next morning was like, you need to watch this.
Yeah, I knew something was up when he's like, you need to see me play this game.
Yeah.
And luckily I was looking at it on a small screen, so I didn't get sick, but yeah. If it was on a larger screen, or if I was actually playing, I can imagine that would have just been terrible.
I don't get disoriented very easily, and I don't get that whole, like, motion sickness from, like, FPSs or something like that. And this thing, after I got done playing it, for a solid half hour afterwards, I was slightly, it's like when you looked at an optical illusion and you look away and, like, the world's kind of moving a little bit strange. I had that feeling for the next, like, half hour. It was one of those things where it's like, I think it's a good idea and all that kind of stuff, but I've had the wobbles for a bit. So, like, the whole idea behind it is you're this little octopus looking thing, and you rotate inside of, like, a water bubble, and you need to go out and get these things to get to the end and not bump into the enemies. But when you spin as the octopus keeps its orientation. The rest of the world spins around it, and that's the thing that the whole fact that you're keeping orientation, but the rest of the world moves. That's what makes the whole thing feel like, I got the spins. So it's an interesting game enough, and if you want to play something that makes you feel a little bit nauseous, maybe that's the game for you. I think the one thing it's a kind of a disservice for the game is I don't think anything's wrong with the game. It felt like it was decent enough. The kind of game that it was good. I think it's just I can't get away from the idea of, like, that caused me to spin to the degree to where a half hour later, and it takes quite a bit for me to get to that level. I play high-res games, and this month I tried another one of high-res games, which is Realm Royale, which is their battle royale game. I cannot give this one a fair assessment because I don't play battle royale games. I've tried Apex Legends, I've tried Fortnite, I've tried I haven't tried PUBG, oddly enough, but I've tried most of those, and it's just not my kind of game. Those I don't really play them. From what I can tell, Realm Royale is a good game, just not for me. So I'm not going to get on that one too much. I would highly suggest maybe people that play this a little bit more as better advice. It's just not my sort of thing, but it looks like a good game. And actually, playing that, I played Apex Legends, and I had more fun playing Realm Royale than I did Apex Legends. So maybe that says something about it as well. But that's how games work, is they're subjective also. You got to actually like the kind of game that you're playing. Another Sunday one, I played Chocolate Makes You Happy. This is another just simple puzzle. I'm going to spend 2 seconds on it. You try to take a circle, put it on the thing, solves it. It's just go check it out if you want to, but I don't think there's anything all that special. I've seen like probably 5 or 6 different games that are identical to this that are made by different people. So I don't know, maybe there's some engine out there on how to do this as maybe there's some tutorial, and the first tutorial shows you how to do this, and people are like, oh, I made it. I might as well package it up and sell it as a game or something like that. But there wasn't anything all that unique about it. But it is it's got a cool title. Chocolate Makes You Happy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's true.
I guess somebody in marketing made a good choice in the name. It's going to get people to buy it just because it says Chocolate Makes You Happy. Castles. Rachel and I actually tried out a game called Castles this month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it has a feeling to me kind of like Overcooked, where it's teamwork is required, cooperation is required, and you have to communicate instantaneously what you're trying to do, which is interesting because it really makes you think fast and communicate even faster.
Yeah, and part of the thing is like, so there's colored blocks and then there's the symbols on the blocks. And the whole idea is that you need to match up either 3 of the colors or 3 of the symbols. So I'll say, go up and push the green one left. So if she goes to push the green one left, she pushes the green one, this green one left, not that green one left, because what she's trying to match up is the symbols that are on the green ones, not the other thing. And I'm like, no. Or she saw some other, like when she's pushing it left, she's trying to get these 3 together. And I'm like, no, I'm trying to get these 3 together. So it does have that highly cooperative gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
It's not 2 people doing their own thing. It's 2 people really actually truly trying to work together in a very cooperative manner, trying to get this stuff done, which I think it fits into an area to where it's getting underappreciated for what it is. The one thing I could say about the game that might actually turn people away is we couldn't figure out how to get 2 controllers to work on it.
Yep, we had to use controller and keyboard.
Yeah, so I was using the keyboard, Rachel's using the controller, and the problem with that is if you want 2 people to sit down and play a couch co-op game, it better be able to work on a couch.
Mm-hmm.
If one person needs to pull out a keyboard to be able to do that, that's a problem at that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think the game has a lot of potential. I think it has a lot of capability to actually have, especially for plays. Like I think it's going to be an interesting thing to watch. But we're lucky enough to where we're in a situation to where I'm next to a keyboard to run all the recording stuff all the time. So I just kind of pulled that onto my lap. But not
Most
everybody's
people
going to be. Yeah, well, I wouldn't say most people. It's going to be hard for a lot of people to be able to do that.
Right.
So really good game. Maybe they'll patch that. We'll see. And finally, we played this first episode of this last month, but it was on the 31st. And it was after we did last month's monthly recap. That is Risk of Rain 2. And that is a game that just came out that is hitting everything pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
There's the first Risk of Rain that came out that was a 2D side-scroller, sort of, or not side-scroller, 2D side view platformer sort of thing.
Yeah, battle.
Yeah, it's a survival
fighter.
platformer sort of thing where you need to get through, and we didn't really care for it all that much. I found the controls hard to control, but Risk of Rain 2 came out, and the moment I saw this video, this is something I've been looking for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's 3-dimensional in this one. It's third-person shooter, so it's not first-person, it's a third-person behind shooter, and it's just one of those ones that you keep pushing, try to go as far as you can. There's no story really involved with it. It's just how far can you get? And you unlock extra characters. I did a special video on how to unlock one of the characters this month. So if you want to get into this game, you can go check out. We got one video that's getting extremely popular called it's the name of the video is True Respite. It's our second one. And it says obliterate yourself on the front of it. So that's what it says at the end of it. You can watch for a playthrough through that one, or the other thing that you can look at is if you want to unlock the Artificer, which is one of the characters inside of it. I have a video on. I try to be concise and quickly show how to unlock that character. Mm-hmm. But I'm having fun with this game.
Yeah, it's interesting, and one of the things that I've found is it reminds me a lot of an FPS. It's got FPS kind of controls, but it's a little bit more, I'd say, forgiving than a typical FPS.
It is an FPS. It's just not. It's a third-person shooter instead of a first-person shooter. But everything to its core it would still be FPS controls.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's not more forgiving. I don't think that's the fact. I think it's just smooth.
It is very smooth. It's very easy to play. It's very fun to play. Like, I haven't done a lot of FPS stuff, so for me, it was immediately intuitive when I went into it how to play it, and I don't do a lot of that. So that in and of itself speaks to how well developed the game is.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. Like, I do actually play a lot of FPS games, and FPS is actually one of the things that within my category of games, FPS is not one of my strongest suits. There's certain games where I get better at and certain games where I don't. Like things like, for some reason, Smite and Paladins, I tend to be better at those than, say, like Call of Duty or some of the other ones along those lines, like Battlefield or something like that. I think it's just the different kind of abilities that you have, because it's not just straight shooting. It's actually abilities and maneuvers and all that kind of stuff as well. But I do play quite a few different FPSs, and I think this one, I don't know what it is, but it feels smooth. Getting to hit the things that you need to hit inside of Risk of Rain is effortless.
Mm-hmm.
And that says a lot. I don't know what it is that they did to make this feel this smooth, but there's no jerkiness to the controls. There's nothing that makes it to where it's hard to actually aim. I don't know what it is about the movement speed. Something about it just makes it to where never during that game I'm going, oh crap, if I could only hit the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It was always a case to where if I wanted to hit it, I could hit it.
Yeah.
And the FPS struggle that comes with trying to make sure that you get the proper shot in the proper place was never a thing inside that game.
Mm-hmm.
So
one other thing I want to call out too, the soundtrack is really good. It's kind of this cool down tempo electronic kind of music. So great for studying or driving. So go check it out. It's on YouTube.
Yeah. The guy that actually did the soundtrack for this has it posted on YouTube. Check it out on YouTube if you like it. Go buy it. It's a good soundtrack, but not only is it good to listen to outside of that, it's perfect atmospheric music for the game itself.
Absolutely.
It feels good to have that soundtrack inside that game. So that's going to cover our new games inside of April. We do have some stuff ending inside of April. One of the things we have ending inside of April is Crimson Land, and this makes me a little sad.
Yeah, it was so much fun while it lasted. I wish it was more.
And we have hard mode,
Mm-hmm.
so we do have more to do, but it was one of those games. Crimson Land's a game that it gives me that feeling that I want from games. I'm having fun.
Absolutely.
I'm not stressed. I'm not anxious. I'm just straight out having fun inside of that one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things. Crimson Land was one of the things that we probably enjoyed more than a lot of things I can say over a while.
Absolutely.
And that's where it led into like Tesla v Lovecraft, is when we finished Crimson Land, we were just itching for more of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where Tesla v Lovecraft came into play. So yeah, Crimson Land, we'll probably go back and do hard mode and all that kind of stuff. But the game itself, it is such a good game. It is so simplistic, but it's such a good game. It's 1 to 4 players. So couch perspective is always there. It just go check it out. It's such a good game, and it's so cheap too. Like it's worth the buy. Final Jotun episode for this month.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ruin the ending. Good ending.
Yeah.
One of my favorite games of all time now.
Yeah, it is. The story is amazing.
Yeah, there isn't a part about that game that I couldn't say, yep, they did that just right.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I don't have a complaint about that game. I don't even have a, like, well, if you really press me, I have to say this. The game was beautiful. It worked well. It felt well. The story was great. It was just long enough. It wasn't like, never felt like it was dragging on.
Mm-hmm.
The stages were interesting. The ending was interesting. And not only that, the ending, when you go into the ending, they had a really cool kind of credits thing to where you see the characters, like, or the developers. Like, there's not a thing they did about that game that I would say they should even change slightly.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely adore that game. That was such a good game.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't even play it, but it was so much fun just to watch and be involved in. It was a very cool experience.
Yeah, and if you don't want to play it, go check out the episodes. My one biggest regret about Jotun, and the only regret that I have, is we didn't have the good audio system in the first few episodes, the first 2 or 3 episodes. And I really hate that because it's such a good game. I almost feel like I kind of want to, I don't know, go see if I can just, like, I can't improve the audio now because they're already posted, but man, I just wish those were on the better audio.
Yeah.
So, Jotun, it's just a really good game. It's made by
Thunder Lotus.
Thunder Lotus, thank you. And they have some other games that we're going to be playing coming up called Sundered. Yeah, we got Sundered, and there was another one they have that we're looking at. Those will be coming coming in the future as well. And Human Fall Flat ended this month. I'm a little bit sad for this because we had such a fun time on it. What do you think about Human Fall Flat now that it's done?
I don't like it. I want it to keep going on because I love the different puzzles. It just makes you feel like you're cooperating with the other person. Like it feels like you're like part of the group of your family. So I think it's good.
Yeah, we had such a fun time on this. This is one of those things that after it was done, all I wanted was for it to keep going on. I just wanted to find either another game like it, or I wanted to find more of it. And there is some, actually, they came out with some extra content that we will be playing in the future. But the actual like storyline, the main storyline, we finished this month. It came out on the 30th, and yeah, it's a little bit sad that it got finished. But we'll play some more because they have player created maps now. They have some just kind of extra stuff. I know they had a Christmas map that came up that we're going to try to go through. So it's really, really a fun game, and it's one of those things that you don't die, you don't have a health bar. There's nothing like that. The whole entire point of that game is to have fun. And it was one of the things where it's like, yeah, it is fun. They did it right. It felt fun.
Yeah.
So.
And you fall from the sky as this blob man, and you have to figure out puzzles. What's better than that?
Yeah, exactly. Perfectly said. All right, so events for the month. One of the things we want to mention, we talked about Risk of Rain being new for the month, but I do want to mention our video, The True Respite, is actually probably our biggest video now. So we have probably our biggest video so far that's came out for this month. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, and just a couple things about my priest stuff in World of Warcraft. So if you've been watching any of the WoW stuff, you know that 8.2, some of the teasers have been released with Nazjazar, and I'm sure I pronounced that wrong, and Mechagon. So I am watching for those. Right now it doesn't look like there's any class changes to Holy Priest, but we're going to keep watching that and see what happens. One of the other things is I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on arenas rather than rated battlegrounds, and that's just a personal preference. I've had a hard time finding groups for rated battlegrounds, and that makes, and with the queue times the way that they are, it makes it really challenging to try to get in and get videos, especially for a casual player. So I will be focusing a little bit more on arenas going forward. So I'm very excited about that. I love doing arenas, so expect to see more 2s and 3s with me in there.
And for this month, I upped my Paladins play a little bit. And I think it's going to stay that way. So I did a little bit less Smite and a little bit more Paladins. And I can't say which one I like more, Paladins or Smite, but Paladins has something for me that I think is valuable. I could sit down and get in a match, and it doesn't have to be real long. So I can do, if I want to sit down and just get a game in before I go to bed, something like that, I can go in and do an onslaught, and those are not very long at all. I can get a game in, I can have fun. But not only that, I'm finding a lot of people, like, Paladins is kind of a niche group kind of thing. Niche, however you say that, group. So there's a kind of a community around it that people like Spaghetti that follows. I've been playing some of the games with him, and there's this smaller community of people that are playing that game that leads to kind of an interesting little area to interact with people. And I find that appealing. So one of the things with the channel is I like interacting with the other people. I don't want to be just kind of isolated inside of it. And this is leading into some of that. So I think it's making me appreciate certain aspects of that. But the other thing too is I think Rachel and I are going to play a game tonight, probably.
Yep.
And it's got some cool support capabilities that I think Smite's missing inside of it. And I don't think it's Smite. I think it's most MOBAs are missing.
Yeah.
So like Genos is one of the ones I've been playing recently. And Genos is, like, it's a fun way. It's really, actually, honestly, it's not just inside of that. That's how I want healers to feel, period. Inside of, like, any game.
Right.
I want them to feel like they're kind of part of the game. They're not just sitting back and, like, hiding out in a corner healing somebody. They're actually part of the game. And they're their heals aren't so stupid powerful. They completely like flip the game on its head.
And I think that's one of the things that MOBAs do really well as opposed to MMOs is they do a really good job of balancing those classes so that you don't have a healer that is just completely overpowered and you can't kill anybody on their team because they're just too overtuned for it. So I think Paladins does a good job of balancing that.
Yeah, and if you get a flank or a damage against one of the healers, you could just evaporate them in a short period of time. Well, even like Makoa, my main character I play, if I see one of the healers sitting back there and I get an anchor grab on him, I basically just wipe him out immediately.
Right.
So I get a shot off on that crit, spin back through him, spin back around, and drop him immediately. There's a few of them that can get away from me in that time. Genos can raise me, or I can't remember her name. She can go invisible and get away. There's some of them that can get away from some of me in that time, but it's one of the things that the healers are support for other people, not necessarily support for themselves so well. So their role is to make sure everybody else succeeds well, not necessarily if they are the core to it. So Paladins is probably going to keep getting the attention it's been getting. Each month, we try to highlight the subscribers that are helping support this channel. People that have been either good at talking back to us, as in saying like, hey, cool stuff, or people that are just supportive about what we're doing. So some people we want to highlight for the month. Same person as last month, PUBG Mobile. He's on YouTube, always supporting the channel. Such a nice guy or girl. I actually don't know whether it's guy or girl. Such a nice person supporting the channel and being awesome. Spaghetti Incorporated on Twitter. We've been actually playing some Paladins together. Again, hugely supportive, awesome guy. Been really cool about supporting the channel. There's another small YouTube channel, Gray Shadows, that's been kind of back and forth looking at some of each other's stuff. He's at 100 and something subscribers, so he's a little bit bigger than we are. But he's starting up his stuff as well. And yeah, it's been cool interacting back and forth a little bit with him on those. And the Division 454, which is a guy that does a lot of live streaming. He's been coming over and kind of saying hey and talking about just kind of commenting in the channels and stuff like that, just talking about stuff. So yeah, these people, we're small, and obviously over time, if we do get bigger, this is going to become almost unmanageable to where we're going to have to be a little bit more precise about it. But we're so small right now that anybody is almost hugely notable for us, and we really appreciate, especially like I imagine it's hard to find us right now. And these people actually even like being willing to actually take a moment and just say hey or something like that. It's been really cool.
Yeah, it means a lot to us as a small channel. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those things that from our end, because we are so small with what's going on, we don't know if we're just sending this out into the void or if somebody's actually hearing it or not. So we want to say thanks to those people for supporting the channel. And just a last bit of news. Some stuff that's going to be coming up. Jotun finished this month, so next month we have a new series starting on the Sundays, and it's a really cool game. Some of you may know it. It's called Grease, Gris, and this is going to be a fun one.
It is.
We have it starting up next month, or next Sunday after you hear this one, and then you have because Hat in Time, or because there's a little bit of hint about what I'm going to say. Because Human Fall Flat ended, Dell and I are starting up a new series too. We're going to be doing Hat in Time, so we're playing through that, and we're going to be posting those. N++ is going to be coming to an end of its intro co-op, so we're going to actually be stepping in and doing some of the competitive races inside of those coming up as well. And as always, we're going to keep with our 3-player co-op and competitive games doing what it's doing. Next month we should have our next 5G5M pretty early in the month, talking about some of the games we play. And yeah, hope to see you guys around, and that's it for me right now. Do you guys have anything else you want to say?
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
All right, we'll see you guys later. Take care.